Well, hello and welcome to the Soft Life. I am Dr. Raykel Tolson and I have a special co-host today. My little cousin, Dr. Helane Androne, has joined us for Soft Life on today. Say hello to the people, girl.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, yes. So we like to get right into it. I'm not going to give y'all no whole bio. While we're talking to her, you're going to learn more about her. The most important thing about her is that she's my cousin. That's
It.
okay. Soft life. Everybody has already hopefully understand what the soft life is. Securing your future, owning your time, flowing in purpose, and trusting God's timing. And some of that will require you to either change how you're doing your current job, maybe apply for a new job in the same company, maybe apply for a different job with a different company, maybe start your own business, maybe start your own side hustle. But either way that you decide that you want to implement this soft life, what I realized, we have to activate our story. And that's what Dr. Helene is here to help us do, to activate our story. Now, share with us a little bit about activating your story.
Okay, I would love to because the one thing I am absolutely obsessed with is our stories, right? That there are so many stories in the world. And I believe that inside of our story lies all of the testimonies that are transformative. And so there are a number of different ways that we can get at those stories, lots of activities and different ways that you can get to that. But ultimately, activating your story is really about really coming into close contact with your purpose by looking at the journey that you've taken up to this point. Like as you go back and you begin to think about all the moments that you realized something or God really just took you through particular challenges, etc. It's in those moments that began to define you that you can actually turn into a platform for more. And so we can get into the details of how we do it and
Wow.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, so when you think about entering into your second season or into, securing your soft life, right?
Yes, because I
How
always say
important is
that
that?
we're in our second season. This is, 50 is the new whatever, but
It's just that like I agree with that. Like when people turn 50, I've heard so many, even like celebrities talk
Mhm.
about how now that they're in their 50s, it's just a whole different, like they don't care.
Yeah, it's a whole different
Like we
space.
on
Well,
a
I mean,
different.
technically, that's a research-based thing, though. I mean, right around your mid 50s is when research shows that you get a new creative surge. And so
Mm,
it's not just coming out of the caring a lot about building something, so you worry a lot about what people think about you and all that sort of thing, and that kind of ends when you hit 50, but also you really start to see the world differently and you begin to actually have um, a creative surge in you,
mm.
like your brain patterns literally change and you begin to have a new creative surge right around 55, 57. So for the folks who are out there feeling some kind of way, like why do I feel like I need to be doing xyz or I need to be making this change or whatever, it's programmed into us. It's how we're built.
What? So is that why at 55 I was like, yeah, I can't do this no more.
That's
Ooh.
that is why.
And you know what? And it's so funny because like I'm not working on a 8-hour job, right?
Hmm.
But I come into my office and I just like it's so many things I want to do. There's so many things I'm doing. I'm that like the network, and I have so much energy to do this. I say, okay, stop, go take a break, eat.
Right.
I
Get
have to
some
make
food.
myself
Like,
breaks to
yes.
eat and relax
Yes.
for a minute because I'm just like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. Yeah, and
That's
I'm
what our
putting
second
together
season is.
stuff. Yeah.
It is such a blessing and it can be incredible, an amazing time to really like That's what I mean by activating your story. Like it's an amazing time to start activating your story differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just not only in what you create and what you build, but also in how you perceive of all the things you've been through and how you turn those things into something more and something productive for yourself and for others. How you begin to serve in this season, in your second season, is absolutely it's just like more fulfilling, more meaningful, and you have this surge of energy. Like you said, like you come into your office, you are ready to go. It's and it's different. The excitement is different. It's like a gut level calling that because you're mature, and you are less inclined to be insecure and worrying about what other people think. You've built something already, you have training, you have skills. It is the perfect time to do that activating, to actually begin that new season of building something new. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm over here rah rah for the stuff like.
Okay, so here's something. So I know that there are probably many women out there listening who feels like their story is ordinary or it's not worth
Mm,
sharing. How
mm.
can they begin to see their story as valuable?
That is That is so important. Okay, let me just say this right now. I'm an English professor. I deal in stories in my regular sort of 8 to 5 kind of life. And I also am a book coach and just a writing life coach. I help people work through their writing life, whatever that looks like. And what I can tell you is that we don't get tired of stories. Ordinary stories have incredible wisdom and insight and revelation couched within them. If that were not true, we would not be so moved by parables. So think about how you're taught things. Think about the way that we learn things. Our natural inclination is that we learn something through a story.
Yeah.
So every one of those stories, no matter how ordinary it may seem, for example, farming stories, for
Hmm.
example,
Hmm.
agricultural stories, no matter what that story is, chances are someone is going to pull a kind of wisdom from it, something about your perspective, your view, um, the way that you tell it, your rhythm, your cadence, your tone, it's going to speak differently to them. Because in all honesty, we're all very much familiar with the same kind of plot lines, right?
Hmm.
You may feel like your story is really ordinary. There's not anything miraculous about what I've been through or incredible about what I've been through. Oh, so many people have had this struggle. So many people have overcome this particular challenge. But you are here in this moment to speak to someone else who is here in this moment.
Yeah.
And the way that you tell it is going to resonate with them in this moment differently than ever before. And
Yeah.
that's really important to remember, that no matter what
Mhm.
it is, it's like your fingerprint and your voice. It's unique and it hits different.
Yeah. 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 Listen, I would always tell people this, and I know people were just like, "Oh Lord." It's like everybody should write a book. And
Mhm.
and it's not that everybody should write a book that they're trying to be a bestseller. Not everybody should write a book that they put on Amazon. But I feel like everybody should write their story, even if it's just for their children's children, children's children to understand who you are, the things that you went through, the things that you overcome. And I look at it like, and this is really going to sound crazy, but I look at it like the Bible, right?
Mhm.
Because people make it seem like the Bible is like God wrote this and sent it down. And that's not what the Bible is. The
Right.
Bible is made up of a lot of stories
A lot of
of
stories, a lot of
people who
letters.
love, and letters. retold stories about people who love God,
Mhm.
who had to live and they went through something and God delivered them. God, now some stories may sound kind of wild,
Mhm.
the Jonah in the well, that it sound kind of wild, but we learned a lot of things from
Learn
that
some
story.
stuff.
And so we all have gone, like you said, we all have gone through stuff in our lives where God brought us through, gave us strength, did the miraculous, even in, like, maybe not in delivering us from a belly of a whale,
Mhm.
but making sure we had money to pay the rent, making sure we had food for our kids, even if it was because someone told us to go to sundown and get some, whatever.
Right.
But we all have these stories that our children's children, so on, can learn from. And it's like, what if, they like, I don't want to read the Bible,
Mhm.
but they'll read grandma's story.
Mhm.
Grandma's story,
Or
in
they'll
my
listen
opinion,
to it. Or they'll
well,
listen to it.
but they'll listen to grandma's story, and
Yeah.
grandma's story is the Bible. If grandma will tell how God brought her through, that's
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
No,
call it.
that's exactly. Yeah, I think about so I in one of my newsletters that I wrote recently on Substack, I talked about having had a miscarriage, right? And the significance of that was for me, right? How many hundreds of thousands of women across time have had a miscarriage? That is not an extraordinary story, unfortunately. But the way that I'm telling that story is to connect it to what comes next. It's to connect it to what it meant for me in my subconscious and what how I processed it and the way that it turned into something more when I had my son, but it was connected. So that's the other part about a story that when you activate that story, you're doing something that is productive with it. It's not about the thing itself necessarily. What is unique about that story is not the miscarriage, right? What's unique about that story is what I learned as a consequence of having a miscarriage and developing the courage to talk about having a miscarriage and then what that meant for me with other women,
Mm,
right? The kind of knowledge that I started to build because of it, and then what that went on to show me about my fear, right?
mm,
And so what grows out of a very sort of unfortunate situation that is also unfortunately common
yeah.
activates into something entirely different where people are responding to that story and saying, yeah, that was fascinating. It wasn't fascinating, there was nothing abnormal in that
Right.
situation, but the link that you create to what you learned and what you realized and how that became something more, that is where the activation comes in.
Oh,
That's where it
I
begins
love
to serve. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, everybody has something that
Mhm.
has moved them from one stage to another stage, and
Mhm.
that is probably a life, like it could be a class, on how to get from there to there. So everybody has that. So for the person who wants to, like, start a side hustle, start a business,
Mm.
how important is that story though? How important is it to really get
Yeah.
their story together? Like, actually hone in on what their story is.
It is absolutely the foundation for the integrity of what comes next. So,
Mm,
what I tell my clients that I work with is that when we find your story, like that key story that is the driving force, what we do is we end up finding something that's deeply connected to your purpose. Because the journey that you've taken is not a journey that is accidental, right? You have to believe it's not an accidental journey. So that means that all of these various stories that you've experienced, the challenges, all these types of things, they're coming together to write your whole life story in a way that represents your purpose, that is a trigger for your purpose.
Yes.
And so when you start honing in on the stories and what you like, how you've grown from the various situations and circumstances of your life, they begin to direct you. They begin to say something about the foundation you're meant to build for the service that you're going to provide to the world, like what you are going to create. So the folks that I work with, I call them vision builders because they are building a vision that was kind of like a seed planted in them very early and begins to grow as they walk that story out. And so it's a matter of that story becomes the integrity for every single thing that they want to create.
You know what? I feel like the people who work with me need to then go work with you, because so when I do my purpose workshop and we use their numerology and their astrology, and what it does is like it resonates with them, and they're like,
Yes.
oh. But I'm like realizing it's because it resonates, because they can go back and look at stories, they can look back at things, and it's like, oh my gosh, like how did, wow, this is what I'm, and then so then they start putting it together. So it's
Yes.
like so having that, like seeing it, and it's just, and then they're seeing it like, yeah, that is me. Yes, I do that. Yes, I do have those
Yes.
kind of experiences. And
Yes.
then they need you to help them flesh out all of those experiences
It's like all these puzzle pieces that they
and
put
putting it
together.
together.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
when we put those puzzle pieces together, what we find is that is your personal brand.
yeah, yeah,
Because your purpose, if you like, some people, they start with the thing they want to do, they start with some other, they start on the outside, and they're like, well, I want to do XYZ, and it's on the outside of them. But what I'm saying is you've got to start with your story, because if you start with your story, it will reveal your purpose, and then your purpose will drive your brand, whether that's your authorship brand, whether that is some particular creative, merchandise, product, thing, whatever service you might provide, it drives what's behind your brand, and it creates the integrity for it. So yes, once they get, moving through and really discovering this is who I am, these are the things that pop up for me, to begin to actually pull those puzzle pieces together creates the foundation for what happens next. And it is much easier to be committed to something that resonates from who you are than what you want. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What you want or what you want to do. That's an external thing.
yeah.
If something's coming out of me, it's coming out of my story, it's who I am. I don't have to worry about how I talk about it or preparing to talk about it or what I got to say about it, because I know all the stories.
You,
I know
because
all the
it's coming
stories
from who
associated with
I
my brand.
actually am.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's me. It's
yeah,
yes, it's me. It comes from me, and I know, and I've got all the examples, and I can
yeah,
pull freely. I don't need to come and do, anything extra. I can just
right.
show up, and I
I
am
like
the
that.
brand. Yeah.
I love that. So I have so many other questions, but I feel like our time is like running out. What are some practical ways women can turn their second season into opportunities for new income stream?
Mm. Ooh, so many. That's loaded. Okay.
That's a loaded question, huh?
That's loaded. So, once you kind of have activated your story and you really have I call I call it a personal brand statement when I kind of get folks to a space where they can articulate exactly what they're doing, who they're doing it for, and why they're doing it. I call that a personal brand statement. So to me, that's at the foundation because you've got to get clarity first, right? And that clarity will lead you to your message, and your message will lead you to who you're talking to. And once you, not the other way around. Okay. People want to say, I want to help people
I want to
who,
help people, but you might not have a story for those people.
yeah, the idea is you've got to know what your core message is first. You've got to
Yeah.
know what the key is that you have. And
Mhm.
so when you have your message and you know who you are here for and to serve and to support, etc., the main thing is to narrow that and to really focus in on the things that welcome you the most.
Mhm.
So I say it like this. I'm like, you want to do the things that welcome you to that work. You're not going to continue doing something you don't want to do.
That's
You're not
true.
going to be committed to something you don't want to do.
That's true.
So you have to think about where those folks are and what exactly you are bringing to them in terms of that message and that service and whatever it is. But whatever it is you're trying to do, or that you can do by auditing your talents and your skills and those gifts and pulling those things together into that brand and that message and directing it toward those specific people,
Right.
then you start walking out what is the program that I have for them to do? What is it that I can help them to get transformation in? Because no matter what you're talking about, people are looking for transformation.
That is so so good because I created this. This is so horrible.
What?
I create. I'm going to tell you, it's really horrible. So one Christmas, not last Christmas, but the year before, my sister and I decided we were going to spend Christmas together, just the three of us, without our kids, because our kids kind of was getting on our nerves. Well, some of our kids were kind of getting on our nerves, but our kids are grown and they doing
Yeah.
their own thing. They have their own
Mhm.
families, so
Mhm.
really, they're
Yeah.
really right. Like
Mhm.
Christmas ain't about us because
Yeah.
they got families, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, F them kids. We gonna have Christmas together. We gonna enjoy it. And I created this little thing that we had T-shirts that said "F them kids." Christmas with Santa
My
Claus. We
Lord.
had wine goblins that had that, and we had so much fun that Christmas. And it wasn't necessarily when we were saying F them kids, it wasn't really that it was a negative thing about our kids. It
Mhm.
was about that we had to come to an understanding that we are in different stages in our lives. And our kids, Christmas ain't about their parents anymore. Christmas is about their families.
Mhm.
And so in our head, we had to say, F them kids then. We finna have a good time. And the thing is, like we had a good time, and some people laughed. It was like, yeah, other women my age are feeling that. And instead of trying to make their kids be with them, instead of like making the kids feel bad because they don't want to come to you for Christmas,
Yeah.
you have to have in your
Guilt
head
trips.
this: F them kids. If this not my year with them, I can still have Christmas without them. Now that story though, because
Mhm.
I can't just sell a F them kids Christmas. No, seriously, I have to
Yeah.
tell the story
You have
because
to
when I
tell the
tell the
story.
story, now women are like, "Girl, yes," because my kids talk about they gonna be here for Christmas or they not coming to be with me and not that.
Right. And guess what? You're not the first one. That's not an extraordinary
This is not an
experience.
extraordinary experience.
But it becomes something more because of the story, and it really resonates with folks because I immediately was like, oh, that's a whole line of merchandise. That's a whole event planning.
That's a whole that's some Christmases where you got mamas and daddies too. That's like,
Mhm.
oh, this ain't our year. We going to Jamaica.
Yeah,
with the F
yeah.
them kids club.
Th- I mean, yeah.
That
And
is
and it
actually
and
something
even
good. I might need to
something
talk to
like
somebody.
that that seems small and funny and humorous grows into something. I mean, we've all seen the sister who had, the I don't care club, you
Yes,
know, where she just kind of came on TikTok and just started saying how she was feeling because menopause, right?
yeah,
And the reality of that, not an extraordinary experience, right? Resonates with a lot of people. But when you tell the truth, when you testify and say, you know what, here's the problem, I don't care. This is this is this is the truth in this moment. It turned into something that snowballed into something huge,
yeah,
and and landed her on. I think she was on Good Morning America and all kind of stuff. Yeah, on television, whatever. Why? Because so many people were like, "Oh, honey," just like you said, like right here with F them kids, like it resonates enough for
yeah,
people to say, "Yeah, I want just tell me more, give me the story,"
yes, yes.
and it will land you in something. So that's how people know. That's how um, you can you can discover all of the various opportunities
Mhm.
that flow out of your stories. I mean, there's stories like that. It's all these different things where the opportunities can flow. And whether you want it to be like a small side hustle thing, whether you just want to have an outlet for humor, that you just want to
Right,
go on social media and create content based on something like that, or you want it for real, which can ultimately land in, streams of income too. But when you are trying to say, what are these other streams of income? Do not sit and twiddle your thumbs like, what can I do? What can I do? I run across so many women who are like, well, then I tried this because, somebody else was doing it. And
yeah,
then I've sat with folks and I mentor younger entrepreneurial women who have said such things, who are like, I started, selling this because that seemed like it would make money. And they started doing this and whatever. And all it takes is a few minutes to dig into their particular story to help them to understand. Do you understand that all those things integrate into a brand that you can sell with more integrity?
yeah,
Because I was talking to one woman, and she was like, she started selling candles, right? Because candles, lots of people sell
and
candles.
lots of people sell candles. Yeah,
Everybody's selling candle, which is wonderful. We all love candles. I mean, so it
yeah,
makes sense that people would want to sell candles. But the
yeah,
idea was, it had there was no connection to her specific current brand, and she was like, I don't know if I should be doing this because XYZ. Once we started talking about it, and we started thinking about the actual story that she had to tell about her life and the challenges of her life and what she really wanted to do, and we got to that personal brand statement, we actually were able to integrate. And we were like, yeah, we're not just talking about candles. What we're really talking about is a brand for helping women who are managing a lot of things to relax. So really, we're not just talking about candles. We're talking about we
relaxation.
ended up with a whole kind of care package idea for merchandise
Yeah,
that she could do. But that care package was built on her story of what she was
yeah,
really after, right? So it wasn't random. You cannot jump out on things that are random, that are disconnected. It will not work in the same way. It just won't, because you won't be committed to it. But once she started thinking about it as part of her story, as part of who she's trying to serve and what she's trying to do, the outcome she's looking for them, the transformation that happens when she's like, "Oh, well, I love these crystals and I love these things and it's all these things and I use these because, my husband is this and my
yeah.
kids, my this and the other." And she pulled this whole story together. I said, that's it right there.
I love that. Okay, so we are out of time, but please, please, when is your next workshop about this? Because We need
Oh,
to make sure that, or is it a workshop that you do, or is it a course that you do, or what
I
is it?
do. If you go to Pros for Pros, and that's PROSE, the number four, and PROS.com. If you go to my website, and we can link it in the show notes, you will find opportunities. I've got courses on demand, but I have also just a workshop on developing that personal brand statement to help people get to that clarity that they need about their particular story, turning that story into an actual brand statement that will launch their message and help them to really define their client base. So they can start there. If you go to my website, it's laid out really clearly, like start right here, right? Get that clarity. And then there are other courses they can take to get some more direction for how do I launch this story into more of a brand, and how do I take that brand and create multiple streams of income from that brand. So I've got courses on demand, and they can also work with me directly, because I am also a coach, and they can just drop me a line and they can get a free consulting session with me to see if it's a good match.
That is amazing. I hope that my Secure the Soft Life family enjoyed this, because this is good. Because, when we talk about securing your soft life, this is important.
Yeah,
This is important. This piece is important. And I don't do this piece, but I know somebody that does, because that's what a real strategist does. We don't have to do everything. We
right.
point to the people, because I can't live a soft life if I got to do everything.
No,
I'm just,
you
I'm just,
cannot.
I'm just trying to told you.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
got to
have
niche down.
you gotta meet different people, and you gotta know, oh, this person can help you with this. This
That's
person
right.
can help you with this. You don't have to try to do everything, because that is not the soft life way, people.
It is not the soft
Yeah,
life way.
yeah. Well,
You do multiple
you
things, but
I am so glad that you came to share with us, because I really know that the soft life community needs your courses, because we have to get our brands and our stories together, because we got
yes,
some stuff that we want to do. And if
yeah,
you want to sell candles, hey, you got to have a story behind it so it can be authentic. So people will be like, you know what? I need a candle. Doggone it, I need to
I
really
don't need just that. I
I
need
need your
this in my
candle.
life.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
need your candle.
yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to end with our prayer. Lord, continue to show us how good life can be. Ashe,
Ooh,
and so it is.
ooh, Ashe, amen. Oh, I love that.
Until next week.
Thank you so much.